Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again. I'm Dwight Swisher. I'm the incoming president. Jen is getting a much-deserved couple of weeks off, so Jen is not here tonight. I have one item of business for Rotary Club members. We are entering our Vidalia onion sales time, and it's good to have a goal. Bob Pike, how many bags did you sell last year?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Oh, yes, you did.
29.
Yeah, 29. Yeah.
29, something like that.
Just a little something to aim for.
I think.
I wanted to bring it up tonight because we've only got 18 days to get our orders in this year. It's a little late started. So, Rotarians, do your thing. We are as many guests as we are members tonight. There's no hope that I will be able to introduce you all, but Robin can. And Robin is our program chair, and I'm going to pass this evening over to him and let him take the plane into flight. Robin, Reed, go
Thank
on.
you. This is quite a privilege to do this. And Harry didn't know this when he came in tonight, but he's the recipient of the 2014 Lifetime Service Award that Rotary Club gives every year. And I think that's fabulous that Harry came in and was sitting over there with the Reeds, and he was absolutely clueless. But we brought his attention around. First thing I'd like to do is I'd like to thank some people before I start this, because at the end it gets a little nutty and you forget all this. And I'm just the mouthpiece for the Lifetime Service Award Committee. There are members like Bruce Tyndall, Chip Griffin, Brenda Blackman, and Bob Pike. And I'd also like to thank Estella Cal, who picked up the ball and ran with it. Because Brenda Blackman is on vacation, and she deserves that certainly. And I'd like to thank Kim Mills, our cook, who does a superlative job each and every week. And then part of my job is to introduce the guests. Well, I'm going to get the geezer goggles out for this because Chip was so kind as to print this presentation in like 40 or 50 font for us blind people. But he hand wrote the guest list. If you could read an attorney's writing, and there's no particular order to this, but I would like to recognize some people. You don't have to stand up, except maybe you, Henry. We have Joan Riddle with us tonight, Estella Pell, Laura Honey, Kurt West, George McAvoy, Arthur Richardson, Wally and Elizabeth Reed, Faye and Marilyn Gray, and yes, those flowers were for you, Kush. Tom and Karen Nickerson, Kim Upham, Nick and Jessica Upham, Henry and Judy Herford, Mike and Susie Giles. And I think, if there's anyone I've missed, I won't tell you what I'm really thinking, but you can stand up and introduce yourself. I apologize if I've missed anything. Is there anyone that wants to be recognized? Our very first Lifetime Service Award recipient, over 52 years ago, in 1960, was Judge John W. Brackett. In 1960, Harry was 33 years old and had been living in Boothbay Harbor for only 7 years after returning from his war service in North Korea. The only 2 years he was ever away from Boothbay Harbor. We've generally presented this award every year around Patriots Day to honor our own community patriots. Patriots Day harks back to the April 19th, 1775 battles of Lexington and Concord, the first battles that launched the American Revolution 239 years ago. We'll relate Harry's remarkable accomplishments during the past nearly 90 years. And I'll digress for a moment if I might. You've got to understand, Harry, this presentation is the culmination of work by a committee and input of snapshots of your life given to a lot of people. So at any point in time, if any of the facts as I present them are erroneous, you can nudge me or just jump up and tell me, correct me, I'm good with that. Or you can just give Chip hell because he wrote it. Harry was born in December 29th, 1927. Yes, this makes Harry just 86 years younger. And I got to be honest with you, Harry looks just the same now as he did 30 years ago. You never changed, Harry, and you've always been here for us.
Look in the mirror, I've changed.
What's that?
I look in the mirror.
Some of us don't look that close. Harry has always lived from his birth in his 17 Park Street home on the east side of the harbor, except for his 2 years of service in Korea. Harry's parents were Herman and Harriet Pinkham, who had no other children other than Harry. His father, Herman, worked as a contractor and also at Pearson Hartong's hardware store and lumberyard that existed for decades on the east side, where the Boothbay Harbor Inn and the Rock Tide Pool are today. His mother, Harriet, cleaned houses. Since Harry never had any children, his closest relative was Bob Grover. Bob was the son of Nat Grover, who was Harry's mother's sister.
Brother.
Harry's mother's brother. That would work better, wouldn't it? I didn't write this in. But I'm glad you got it. So Harry and Bob Grover were first cousins. That makes Merritt Grover and his sister Kathy first cousins once removed of Harry. Like all East Side kids, he attended 9 years of school, from kindergarten through the 8th grade at the East Side Grammar School on the corner of Atlantic Avenue and Bay Street, where Fine Interiors is located today. And I might add, I'm probably one of the few in this room who also went to that schoolhouse in the 1st and 2nd grade. And also, Laura Francis, she was in my class too, so. But there aren't many other people in this room who did go to that school. Someday, look up and note the flagpole still there, high in the air. This oversized 2-story white clapboard schoolhouse was painted white with bright apple red trim and was the 3rd largest building on the east side, after only the Catholic Church and the freezer. Teachers daily clanged the brass wooden handled "Don't you dare to be late" school bell. Sarah Delano, who attended 17 years after Harry, described the no-nonsense teachers who heard over and taught, in that order, the kids inside and on the playground. When Harry attended the East Side Grammar School, he did not know West Siders, such as Bob Batter, until East Siders and West Siders attended together in the Boothbay Harbor High School, located on School Street. Only a decade or two later did West Siders start attending the East Side School, but East Siders and West Siders were kept separate, meeting mornings, afternoons, even then until the 5th grade. And I don't mind adding that even when I'm a few years younger than Harry, and even when I attended school, there was a demarcation between the East Siders and the West Siders. And if you wanted to get beat up or at least get in a fight, all you had to do was go across the bridge. An average student athlete, Harry served early in his community as manager of at least the baseball and basketball teams. During his junior or senior year, around 1945, Harry and Bob Batter, 2 years younger than Harry, worked for Skip Freeman in the Department of Fingerprinting in Augusta. In those days, every 5th grader was required to be fingerprinted. Harry's job was to fingerprint 5th graders in Lincoln County and send the fingerprint cards with the images of thumbs and index fingers to Augusta for processing. In the hundreds of fingerprints processed by Harry, only 2 cards were ever returned for reprocessing due to blurred images. I don't know who got that. Is that true, Harry?
I don't remember.
Probably not. Harry did outstanding work at an early age in his fingerprinting career. During high school and World War II, as an indication of his commitment to his community service generally and his emergency preparedness particularly, Harry took on the responsibility of erecting signal flags at one of Boothbay Harbor's highest points, atop the signal tower erected on Moore's Rock up on the hill beyond Fullerton Street. How many people remember that? Good for you, Tom. Do you? I remember them. What does that make me? These signal flags were used throughout World War II, but then were never used again with the advent of better early warning technologies. I guess it's like a Weather Channel. Harry, in 1946, went through very similar rites of passage when he graduated from his Boothbay Harbor High School on School Street in Boothbay Harbor. Of course, he and his classmates capped it off with the Grand March marching down the steps of the Opera House. Harry was very close to his parents. After his father died, his mother would often babysit for the Cody kids across the street once or twice a month on evenings when Vernon Cody would go off the Lions and Marlene would go bowling. When Harry's mother, Harriet, died, she died upstairs in their Park Street home. They had a little pool, maybe named, was it Peppy? Who was part of their household. Police Chief Leighton Davis, a large and imposing man, came lumbering into the house upon the news of her unattended death when Peppy grabbed Leighton by his behind, embarrassing Harry to no end at the time. Harry would later, after Vernon Cody died in 1986, dine at Marlene Cody's across the street because her mother was such a great cook. And Harry always loved to eat. It's a good thing he isn't a vegetarian because we had meat for that. Harry adopted Walter Reed's clan as his own, and Harry was at Walter and Lorraine's wedding and traveled with Walter and Lorraine to Australia, New Zealand, England, and several other destinations. Walter and Lorraine and their 4 children and spouses are, I introduced you, so I didn't miss you, as Wally and Elizabeth Reed, Judy and Henry Herford, Kim Upham and son Nick Upham, and John and Nora Reed. Harry always pitched in at family outings such as clam bakes, family reunions, and weddings. Harry has always been there for the Reed clan. Now for your work life, Harry. A little known fact is that Harry was drafted near the end of World War II, and he was one of the first in his class called to service. Harry promptly answered the call, reported for duty with his draft number, but was sent back home because the Army announced that they didn't need any more men as the war was winding down. Right out of high school, Harry went to work for his uncle Nat Grover at Grover's Hardware. This was close to what Harry's father had done, working for Pearson Hartung, but Nat Grover also had worked before he launched Grover's Hardware. Harry worked at Grover's Hardware for roughly 5 years, from 45 to 1950, until he was drafted into the Army for the Korean conflict. Harry served in the U.S. Army during the Korean conflict for 2 years, from roughly 1951 to 1953. Yeah, it says roughly 2 years. He reported to service in Virginia when they mustered out 2 groups, one headed for Germany and the other for Korea for duty. His commanding officer asked the new draftees if any of them knew how to type. Harry made the mistake of admitting he could pound a typewriter. Didn't they tell you never to volunteer? Harry was immediately pressed into administrative service as an administrative clerk, who processed all the men as they went off to Germany and Korea. And so multitudes of men knew Harry by face and by name. The last person he mustered out, excluding himself, was the commanding officer, and then Harry was the very last man mustered out. He served as company clerk for Charlie Company, but rapidly climbed the ladder and ended his stint with the rank of staff sergeant, chief of his section of not just Charlie Company, but 5 companies. Remarkably, Harry's first assignment in Korea involved finding information on the recent death of a Boothbay Harbor soldier in Korea. Following his 14-month stint in Korea and a 30-day leave, Harry was back at Fort Devens in Massachusetts. He was involved in the creation, coordination, and operation of the fort's separation center. Harry quit to a register reporter in 2007. I ended up discharging all of the people that trained me in Virginia. Many were amazed to see Harry again almost 2 years later, and many veterans asked incredulously, "Harry, were you here the whole time?" Later, Harry joined the Air Force Reserve with Bob Batter, Ray Greenleaf, Ed Hutchinson, and Walter Reed. They met in Bath near the post office and had many great times. Harry, upon his return from Korea, earned a job driving the postal truck to the West Boothbay Harbor Post Office.
Boothbay Harbor Post Office.
Beg your pardon?
Boothbay Harbor Post Office.
Boothbay Harbor Post Office. That's too old. Where he worked as a delivery man for 20 to 25 years, from 1953 into the 1970s. I can't believe it. Listen to all of this.
1983, I retired.
Oh.
33 years.
Yeah, but you were on the truck.
No.
No? Okay.
I was a walking carrier.
Boy. Rumor has it that while on the job, Harry collected bottles and also read romance novels while sitting at certain soda fountains. I don't know the source of this, Harry. Also, while working, Harry often walked himself and the mail into many kitchens. Again, Harry always loved to eat. You know, Harry, we ought to have footnotes here telling you who told us some of this. Harry had started driving the mail delivery truck and soon was later promoted to walking with a bag. I wouldn't consider that a promotion. This mail carrier position was a promotion because he made more money and as a letter carrier than as a mail driver. While Harry delivered mail to West Siders, his mail carrier counterpart on his home turf, the East Side, was Harold Seavey. This isn't in Harry, but I got to tell you something. On the East Side, I know you delivered a few times, but I grew up on the East Side. And when old Harold Seavey had his Cushman motorbike there that he bought himself to deliver the mail with, he used to come up the street on that and I think it was Richard McClellan and I one day decided it'd be a neat thing to try and drive that Cushman motorcycle. And he left it idling. So we released my dog and chased him across the street, and we hopped on his Cushman scooter. We were swell kids, I gotta tell you. We were fighting over who could do the throttle and who could steer, and we did a 180 and crashed into the side of my dad's house. It's horrible to see me. I mean, I'm sure we had to pay for that, but you know, when we remodeled my dad's house just 4 years ago, the scar is still in the clad. Yeah.
No, he had a sidecar.
Yes, he did. He did have a sidecar. We thought we were something, wheeling that out. And on occasion, Harry would be seen delivering mail on the east side as well. I don't remember that, but I do remember that scooter. Few of Harry's co-workers survived, but there is one, Lucille LaShawn, who is 11 years older than Harry. Fortunately for Harry, she recalls Harry with great admiration and recently remarked, Harry was very straight. Another admirer of Harry and recipient of his mail deliveries on the west side was Pat Wheeler, who had co-owned with her husband Bob Wheeler's drugstore on the corner of Union Street and Townsend Avenue. Bob and Pat Wheeler had bought in '64 the drugstore from Don Mitchell, who had recently acquired the pharmacy from Kitty Cedar. See, this is a history lesson for some of you. From Kitty Cedar, whose husband and pharmacist had just died and closed the store. Harry, on and off the job, had been going to the soda fountain at that drugstore for years before and after the Wheelers acquired it. Part of Harry's personal mail delivery task must have been sampling the soda fountain drinks and desserts and perhaps some other food from other kitchens. I think he's picking on it. When Harry retired from his leather carrier work in the 1980s, he was only in his late 50s. However,
83.
83. Oh.
83.
That's right, Nate.
Okay. See how close we are on this one. You gotta understand, Harry, there aren't a lot of people around who are your peers anymore. However, he had 33 years of service and had logged over 70,000 miles for the Postal Service. A well-known summer resident, David Knowles, hired Harry to take care of his Spruce Point cottage at the very end of Grandview Avenue, just past the Spruce Point Inn. David Knowles was quite a character from New Jersey. No match for you, Harry. And every summer, he owned the local guys with a big clam bake. Harry was in charge of this annual summer clam bake, which was enjoyed and appreciated by his fellow locals as well. The rest of this is a sampling, just a sampling, of some of Harry Pinkham's community commitments. Town Assessor, Booth Bay Harbor Water District Commissioner, Booth Bay Harbor Fire Department, Lincoln County Fire Chiefs Association, Emergency Preparedness, and American Legion. During the Cold War, each town needed a civil preparedness organization. In 1959, see if this one's right, Harry, the selectmen appointed Harry as its first civil preparedness chief. Is 59 the right year? No. Okay. He headed our civil defense for almost 50 years, including his service as Emergency Management Agency Director in the mid-1990s until his retirement in 2007. If we add his work during his high school years with the signal flags on Moore's Rock and his Korean conflict service, Harry defended our town for well over a half a century. Harry served as town assessor, corrected this one already. Harry served as town assessor for 2 terms in the 1960s and 70s, and they were 1 year apiece, right, Harry?
Right.
Harry has served on the board of the Booth Bay Harbor Water System and continues to serve as chairman of the board of the Booth Bay Region Water District. Harry's leadership tenure for the stewardship of our peninsula water supply so far has been an incredible 5 decades, since around 1976 to the present time. Until recent years, the water commissioners would rotate the chairmanship amongst the 3 of them. Finally, in 2004, Lou Curtis noted that they felt this was ridiculous, and they might as well face reality and keep Harry as chairman since he led them anyway. So Harry Pinkham has chaired the Booth Bay Region Water District Trustees since 2004, and he will until at least 2016. More than likely, Harry will continue to effectively lead the Water District Board as he has for close to half a century. Harry served as deputy moderator and ballot clerk for over 30 years in Booth Bay Harbor's elections for town offices, town referenda, and county, state, and federal balloting. Harry would always buy the donuts for the volunteers and staff while manning the elections. Did you buy dessert tonight, Harry?
No, I didn't.
But many wondered if these donuts might have been hauled out of his home freezer. Pat Wheeler, who shifted from drugstore clerk to town clerk, credits Harry for her easy transition during her tenure as town clerk. Harry knew the ropes so well, having been deputy clerk under Bob Vada, who served as town clerk for decades. Harry continued also as deputy moderator and was no stickler let go and helped Pat take charge. Harry quietly set up the voting booths each election, stocked the voting booths, and put up the posters for voting. Harry was very steady and supportive throughout Pat's tenure. Harry Pinkham has served the Booth Bay Harbor Fire Department for over 60 years, started in 1953. Is that right? On his return from Korea and was treasurer, kept the books, and updated payroll. He also served as secretary and keeper of records for the Harbor Station. Warren Page, Booth Bay Harbor Fire Chief for many years, had Harry as his right-hand man. And later, Fire Chief Glenn Townsend, who worked with Harry for over 30 years, highly respected Harry and told a reporter, "It has always been a pleasure working with Harry." I bet all the chiefs could say that, couldn't they?
He's got the books for me for 2 years.
For the past decade, although semi-retired from the fire department and then fully retired in 2007, he could still be seen around the fire department cooking up a storm. Harry continued to be the station's clerk and handled all the Department of Environmental Protection paperwork, as well as chemical inventories of local businesses and payroll, even after 2007. Booth Bay Fire Chief Dick Spofford quipped in 2007, "We like having Harry around." Harry remained concerned for fire department recruitment, since training has become much more comprehensive and challenging with new laws and regulations. In the old days, all the training he and others received came after they were hired. He was concerned about young men and women with families, unlike Harry, who would modestly remark, and he commented to me this earlier this evening, "Me, I never married, so I always had plenty of time." Thank goodness. Harry was at the American Legion Hall on July 11, 2008, when the call for the huge Washburn and Doughty fire came in. He told a reporter, "I immediately went to the water district to make sure they got the call so they could boost the pumps to increase the water pressure, and then he started calling for more help." He directed traffic in and around Mount Pisgah while the fire department trucks were filling up there at the standpipe. Even before these heroics, a year earlier in 2007, we at the Booth Bay Harbor Rotary Club bestowed on Harry its Hometown Heroes Award. In 1983, the year Harry retired from the United States Postal Service, Swing Lewis, Booth Bay Fire Chief, and another recipient of our Rotary's Lifetime Service Award, asked if Harry would perform fire police duty for Booth Bay's fire department as well. And of course, Harry said certainly. Even on the state level, Harry has been recognized for his enormous contributions to firefighting. When the 45th Annual Maine State Federation of Firefighters Convention came to this region in 2006, Harry was honored as the person to serve as Grand Marshal of the convention parade here in Booth Bay Harbor. The Register article of December 20th, 2006 reported that nobody could think of anyone more deserving, noted Harry's familiar, low-key, friendly manner, usually with a smile, and one who has made serving his community a lifelong commitment. Harry has participated as a member of the Masonic Seaside Lodge 144 for 64 years. He's a member of the Scottish Rite Northern Masonic jurisdiction. He was affiliated with and initiated as an entered apprentice at Seaside Lodge in the Opera House on March 17, 1952. A week later, he passed to the degree of a fellow craft. 4 days after that, perhaps due in part to his military service, he was raised to the sublime degree of a Master Mason on March 28, 1952. I don't mind telling you having passed those degrees. It took most of us a lot longer than zipping through it like that. He is a member of the ancient Arabic Order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine since August 27, 1955. On April 1st, 2002, Brother Harry Pinkham was presented with the 50-year service medal. Harry held the position of treasurer from 1993 to 94, and from 2001 to 2004, and assistant treasurer from 2010 to 2013. He continues to attend and participate in weekly lodge meetings, not only the Seaside Lodge, but Bayview Lodge as well. Harry also served as a trustee of our Historical Society as well. He served as Boothbay Harbor Memorial Library trustee for 15 years. He was treasurer for 2 of those years after Wendy Curtis and before Joan Martin. Harry was always tighter than a drum. I guess that means you were frugal, Harry. And so was a tremendous treasure for this and many other region organizations. And Harry mowed the library lawn for many years as well. Harry served as trustee for the Oak Lawn Cemetery District before the Boothbay Harbor Cemetery District was formed. Harry Pinkham served as commander of the American Legion, Charles E. Sherman Post 36 in the mid-60s for 2 years. He's been finance officer since 1998, and as General Lou Curtis quipped, Harry's a fixture now. Harry collects money at Legion breakfasts and generally is the coordinator for other organizations, including Rotary, which uses the American Legion Hall for various functions. He also has for decades coordinated the proper disposal of used flags at the American Legion. Many residents, not knowing what to do with flags that need to be destroyed, take them to Harry, who knows how to appropriately retire such flags. Most of all, however, Harry loves his community involvement and chores at the American Legion. He relishes going up and helping out with the breakfast, and he is always there, and doesn't matter if he's peeling potatoes or cooking eggs. The Lions Club had disbanded here during World War II. Lionism was reconstituted in 1953 when they bought their current clubhouse. Harry was a charter member and remains the sole surviving Lion who was a charter member 61 years later. Harry immediately became the first secretary of the new Boothbay Harbor Lions Club, and he held the secretary position, which literally runs the club, for 18 years. He kept the club's history, served on many of the club's committees, and was the most notable Lion in his club. In 1992, 22 years ago, Harry was the first recipient in the entire Maine District for the highest honor in Lionism. In fact, Harry is one of only 2 or 3 recipients, another being Mel Knox, of the Boothbay Harbor Lions Club to be honored with the Lions Melvin Jones Award. This is an honor bestowed by the Lions Club International and is an award named after Melvin Jones, the founder of Lions Club International. The Lions Club International website describes the importance of this award. This fellowship award is the highest form of recognition and embodies humanitarian ideas consistent with the nature and purpose of Lionism. The recipient of this award becomes a model because of the exemplary service to his club and the community for which he serves. Harry clearly meets the requirements of this award, namely for those who best exemplify and carry out the Lions motto, "We serve." Harry won this award so many years ago, as can be inferred from the fact that the area Lions awarded this first ever award to Harry at their annual Ladies' Night, an event that is antiquated today with many women who are now Lions. Now this is an appropriate time if there are any of you who would like to, you have to wait, Tom, who would make any comments, compliments, etc. about Harry, feel free to do so at this time. And if nobody does, I'm going to let Harry get up and make comments about you. Estelle, how about you?
Sure. You want me to come up?
You can if you like.
Well, let's see if they can hear me. I was very pleased to be asked to say a few words about Harry. I remember him growing up, and earlier this evening, Robin and I were talking about it, and I said one of the things I remember is he attended all the sporting events in the school, and he particularly always came to the basketball games, which were held in the Opera House. The crowd was in the balconies, the game was on the floor, and Harry was always there, and he always stood by the entrance door. You remember that, Harry? Yeah. That's something that stuck in my mind, that Harry was always there. I thought this would be kind of fun. I said, oh sure, I'll say something about Harry. He probably did some stupid, frivolous things growing up, and I'll find out about one of them, and I'll make up a funny story, and everybody will laugh at Harry's expense. But that wasn't to be. So I couldn't think, what in the world will I do? And in that process, I read a book review in the Boston Globe, and it was about a biography for the author John Updike, written by Mr. Begley. And Mr. Begley said he had a terrible time writing about John Updike and keeping people's interest up for a whole book. He said all the man did was write dozens of best-selling books and hundreds of wonderful short stories, and in the meanwhile spent an undramatic life in a rural community. So I said, that sort of sounds like our Harry, doing good and not making any waves. Harry, always available, always helpful, always kind and pleasant, even-tempered, except if you messed up his kitchen. Right, Harry? You got a good scolding if you use the Legion kitchen and left any kind of a mess. You're very valued and important citizen of our town. Harry, I wish we could clone you 1,000 times. And I hope you have many, many more years with us.
Arthur?
Well, I'd just like to say, I'm the 4th fire chief of Boothbay Harbor, and Harry kept all the records, and he kept a very good record of everything, finances, and helped us with all the appropriations and what we needed for town reports and all that stuff. And I'd just like to thank him for helping me for the years that I was there, and he did a very good job of keeping all the records of all members, everything else. He could be tankerous at times, but he was taught not to get his panties in a knot, but he was very good, and I'd just like to thank you for that.
Is there anyone else? Henry, you are gonna stand up.
I just wanted to remind Harry that he's not to forget the raisin sauce.
And Tommy Nickerson, I bet you'd like to say something. For those of you who don't know, Tommy's the tail twister at the Lions Club. And I'm sure he has more ammo than most of us on here.
I got a few words to say, and if I could come up here.
Please do.
Harry, please don't take much of this serious, only about 90%. If you thought this was gonna be easy, you were wrong. I got a few tales to tell about Harry. I was fire chief at Boothbay for a few years, and I've seen Harry do a few things. The first one, I'd call him Dead End Harry. And I've seen some mishaps, fires, whatever, on dead-end roads at Boothbay, like Dover Road at Simpson, Meadow Cove, whatever. And him and Jerry Clausen would often argue who was gonna get to direct traffic on the dead-end side of the road. It seemed like Harry always got it. There wasn't a whole hell of a lot to do there. But he did an excellent job at it. Now, I remember back in the 60s, and this was before email and Facebook, this, that, and the other. If in the middle of the winter, you wanted to know where anyone from Boothbay Harbor was down south, all you had to do was go ask Harry. This is when we had postcards. And I think Harry used to read them because he'd say, you know, John and Jane Doe are in Tampa this week, but next week they're going to Key West. So after a while, everyone addressed it. John and Jane and Harry. He was better than Google Earth. Now, I don't know how many people in the room remember this, but in his role as Civil Defense Director, that's what they called it before EMA, all that stuff back in the 60s, Bouvet Harbor Fire in Civil Defense had a duck boat. Remember that, Harry? And I remember as a kid, and I'm 61 years old, so I don't want to say how old Harry is, but I remember as a kid standing on the sidewalk waiting for that duck boat to come down the street. I think it was the night before the 4th then, when they fired the fireworks. And we all watched it come down through town, go into the harbor down by Fisherman's Wharf. All these people watching it, and I couldn't figure it out. Well, Harry was way ahead of his time, because in 2004, 2007, and 2013, I watched millions of people watch these duck boats go down the streets of Boston and go into the Charles River. Harry, you must have taught him the reason why. What was it?
I have no idea.
I think down in Boston they had a bunch of Red Sox in them, but some of the things that Harry might not want to remember, but I do, is upside down Harry. And it was one slippery morning, and Harry was headed to East Bouvet for some reason. He ended upside down in a ditch over by the Masonic Hall. But before any of the emergency workers could get there, he was up and out in the street directing traffic. Unfortunately, you don't collect fire pay for creating your own habit. I know. Volunteer Harry. And I know Robin alluded to this, and Harry has volunteered in this community for so many organizations. And I once asked him, how many meetings do you figure you've sat at? I don't think there's anyone in this room combined that can come anywhere near what Harry has done. But there was one storm, and I don't remember which one it was, but Harry said he volunteered 25 hours that day. And we said, how did you volunteer 25 hours in one day, Harry? He said, I volunteered my lunch hour. And just a little bit more about maybe how old he is. He volunteered over in Plymouth, England, to be captain of the Mayflower, but Christopher Jones succeeded him. And I guess, in ending, I would like to thank the Bouvet Harbor Rotary Club for selecting a fellow Lion and a most deserving member of this region to accept this award. Thank you, Harry.
I stole my page.
I did.
What did I do? So on On this 54th anniversary of our first Lifetime Service Award to Judge John Brackett. Yeah, I'll just speak to the microphone. We can think of no person more deserving of this recognition in 2014. Harry, congratulations. I gotta read my stuff here. Congratulations on receiving our Booth Bay Harbor Rotary Club's 2014 Lifetime Service Award. The plaque reads, 8 decades of service, Korean veteran, water leader, fire policeman, town warden, legendary lion, treasurer extraordinaire, and committed communitarian. Harry, it's a pleasure to award you this award.